There's a reason people pause when you walk by. It's not the clothes you wear. It's not your voice, your title, or your name. It's something deeper. It's something divine. Sparkles, it's the radiant light of God flowing through your spirit. You've probably been told, there's something about you. And even though you smiled in response, deep inside you wondered, what do they see in me? Chosen one, what they're feeling is the presence of God resting on your life. Whether you realize it or not, you are carrying a heavenly frequency, a vibration that cannot be duplicated or dimmed by this world. You were never made to blend in. The Bible says in Matthew 5 verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." You were built to be seen, not for vanity's sake, but to reflect the glory of God Himself. That's what people feel. That's what pulls them in. Not your effort, not your charm, not your appearance, but your alignment with God's truth. What does this light look like in your life? Your glow isn't artificial, it's eternal. It doesn't flicker based on mood, money, or momentary applause. It's the inner glow of purpose over popularity, peace over pressure, presence over performance. Your attractiveness isn't based on society's rules. It's based on divine revelation. Small blue diamond signs, you radiate God's light. People feel calm in your presence. Your energy eases anxiety. You're a source of peace, not chaos. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You attract spiritual conversations, even from strangers. People trust you instinctively, even when they can't explain why. You often receive compliments that bypass the surface. There's just something about you. These aren't just random experiences. They're confirmations. Confirmations that the Holy Spirit is alive and active in your life. This radiance isn't something you turn on. It's not a mask or a mood. It's something that flows naturally because your soul is anchored in heaven. Even when you're tired, your presence heals. Even when you're uncertain, your soul still glows. Even when life hits hard, your light does not dim. It deepens. Let this be a reminder. You don't have to shout to be noticed. You don't have to chase to be chosen. You don't have to dress a certain way or prove your worth. Why? Because your energy speaks before your mouth ever opens. You are light in a dark world. You are oil in a dry land. You are holy favor walking in human form. And this isn't about arrogance. It's about awareness. When you begin to recognize your spiritual beauty, your magnetic aura, and your God-given glow, you walk differently. You love more freely. You live more boldly. So yes, you are more attractive than you realize. But not because of the outer man, because the inner spirit is drenched in God's light. And when you carry that kind of light, even the darkness takes notice. You're not just attractive. You are anointed. And that anointing shines even when you don't try. One of the most captivating, almost mystical qualities of a true chosen one is this. They don't chase attention. They don't beg for love. They don't hustle for validation. Instead, they live in alignment with God. And from that alignment flows a natural, divine attraction that pulls the right people, opportunities, and blessings into their lives without striving. That's not arrogance. That's spiritual magnetism. You see, when you know who you are in Christ, you no longer need the world to tell you your worth. You no longer run after things that are temporary, fleeting, or shallow. You become rooted, grounded, centered in God's truth. And in that stillness, in that quiet confidence, you become deeply magnetic. Sheaf of rice, even Jesus didn't chase people. He didn't run after applause. He didn't force anyone to follow him. He walked in truth and embodied light, and people followed. Not because he tried to impress them, but because he expressed the essence of the divine. That's the example for every chosen one. You don't have to chase when your presence speaks volumes. You don't need to perform when your spirit carries weight. You don't need to push when God has already positioned you. Why this energy is so attractive? In today's loud, chaotic, and overly stimulated world, stillness is rare. Everyone is chasing something: followers, fame, affection, attention. But the chosen one walks a different path. You embody patience. You carry self-worth that doesn't need external proof. You trust in divine timing, and that trust makes you irresistible. When you don't chase, you send out a spiritual signal of, I am already whole. I am already loved. What is meant for me will find me. That calm, unbothered energy creates space for others to breathe. It allows women to feel safe and seen. It brings people into your orbit without manipulation or performance. And that, my friend, is called effortless charisma. People don't know why they feel drawn to you. They just do. They may even question it themselves. Why am I so curious about this person? It's because your energy whispers something deeper. This is someone secure. This is someone who carries truth. When you no longer chase, you become a mirror. You reflect on what others are missing. Your contentment makes others question their restlessness. Your silence speaks louder than their noise. Your peace exposes their chaos. And here's the beautiful part. People want to be close to that kind of presence. Not because they want to fix you or change you, but because being around you feels healing. That's the power of being a chosen one. You attract what's aligned because your soul has already said no to what's not. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to advertise it. Your vibration speaks before your voice ever does. And that's why women, especially those who are spiritually awake or emotionally mature, are drawn to you. Not because you're flashy, not because you're perfect, but because you're grounded. Because your energy says, I know who I am in God. I don't need you. But if you align with truth, you're welcome here. That type of masculine energy isn't just rare. It's holy. When you stop chasing, you start flowing. You live in rhythm with heaven instead of the world. You walk at God's pace, not the world's pressure. You know that what's meant to bless you is also looking for you, and your only job is to stay aligned. So yes, you don't chase, but you attract not from ego, but from embodiment. You attract from your God-centered identity, not your need to be seen. And here's the truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So when you are peaceful, whole, joyful, and aligned with your purpose, you magnetize those same things into your life. It's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's just divine order. And you, chosen one, are living proof of that order in action. Your life doesn't scream for attention. It glows with intention. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You simply need to keep walking in the truth. Because the truth is always attractive. And so is the soul who refuses to chase and simply chooses to trust God's timing. In a world obsessed with noise, bravado, and ego-driven displays of masculinity, the chosen one walks a different path. You're not loud, but you're powerful. You're not boastful, but your presence carries weight. Because your confidence isn't rooted in applause. It's rooted in identity. You don't need to prove who you are. You simply know. And that knowing, that quiet confidence, is the very definition of divine masculinity. There's a kind of strength that doesn't need to dominate a room. It doesn't demand attention or beg to be seen. It doesn't show off, interrupt, or inflate its ego to feel validated. Instead, it carries itself with stillness, a sacred groundedness that says, I know who I am in God. That is enough. This is the strength of the chosen one. This is the strength of Jesus, who didn't boast, yet kings trembled before him. This is the strength of King David, who walked in humility but led with unmatched courage. This is the strength of the spiritual man, humble, grounded, faithful, and deeply magnetic. The energy of quiet confidence. True quiet confidence whispers what noise can't. I am secure. I am steady. I don't need to impress. I live to express truth. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to flex your achievements. You don't need to dominate others to feel powerful. Because your inner authority speaks louder than your words. This kind of divine masculinity is not passive. It's not weak. It's controlled power, strength under surrender. It's the lion who chooses silence, not because he's afraid, but because he doesn't need to roar to remind anyone who he is. What quiet confidence looks like. Listening more than talking because wisdom flows in silence. Responding with grace, not reacting with ego. Being faithful in the unseen. You do what's right even when no one's watching. holding space, not demanding space, standing firm even when emotions are high, leading with peace, not pressure. This is what sets the chosen one apart from the world. You're not performative. You're not chasing dominance. You're walking in a deeper rhythm, the rhythm of heaven. And that rhythm flows through your actions, your tone, your energy. Why women and the world are drawn to this. In a culture full of noise, distraction, and artificial displays of power, your calm presence is a spiritual refuge. Women feel safe around you not because you puff your chest, but because your energy is grounded. They can tell that you don't just act strong, you are strong. You don't fake confidence, you live from a well of divine assurance. People may not be able to name it, but they feel it. They feel your spiritual maturity, your humble leadership, your sacred stillness. This is the kind of masculine presence that builds legacy, not lust. This is the energy that creates spiritual partnerships, not surface-level encounters. This is the type of strength that leads families, restores broken spaces, and carries heaven's weight in earthly moments. Divine masculinity is a calling. Quiet confidence is not something you manufacture. It's something that's forged in the fire of faith. It's the result of being broken, healed, humbled, and then filled with God's presence. It's birthed in the secret place, not the spotlight. And the man who walks in it, he changes rooms without saying a word. He shifts atmospheres just by entering them, because his identity is rooted in God, not performance. So if the world says you're too quiet, let them talk. If the noise around you tries to provoke you, let it pass. You're not here to entertain. You're here to embody truth. And the truth is this: you are a spiritual man walking in divine masculinity. You are a chosen vessel of God's authority on earth. And your quiet confidence is not weakness. It's wisdom in motion. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. Because your presence is more powerful than your performance. In a culture obsessed with filters, curated images, rehearsed personalities, and likes, authenticity has become rare and therefore magnetic. But as a chosen one, you don't play that game. You don't need to, because your soul speaks louder than your image. Your truth carries more weight than your performance. You walk in what the world is starved for: realness. And that's what sets you apart. You're here to express. You show up as you are, no pretense, no performance. Because your value doesn't come from how well you fit into the world's mold. It comes from your spiritual identity, your divine assignment. You carry what we call king energy, not performer energy. Performer energy needs validation, applause, and constant feedback. King energy doesn't. It's secure. It's calm. It's centered. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it. Your realness is revolutionary. In this age of highlight reels and artificial charm, your authenticity is a revolutionary act. It might not make you the loudest person in the room, but it makes you the most memorable. People may forget what you wore or what you said, but they will never forget how your presence made them feel. And that's what divine magnetism is made of: feeling, safety, and truth. You're not pretending. You're not chasing trends. You're not twisting yourself to fit into circles that weren't made for you. You are living aligned with your faith, with your purpose, with your God-given identity. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being whole. It means you're not hiding your flaws, your faith, or your story. You're showing up honestly. Here's what that looks like. You own your flaws and your faith. You don't hide the parts of your journey that were messy. You use them to inspire others. You speak truthfully, even when it's uncomfortable, because your words are not for popularity. They're for impact. You don't fake excitement. You don't fake a connection. If it's not real, you don't force it, because your spirit craves depth, not just company. You live by your values, not by other people's expectations. You're not afraid to be misunderstood for the sake of being authentic. Here's the truth. People are drawn to what feels safe and true, and your authenticity provides both. They might not even be able to explain it, but they feel it in your presence. They feel your honesty. They feel your emotional integrity. They feel the weight of your unfiltered energy. And that safety, It becomes the foundation for real connection, spiritual trust, and lasting impact. Because the world is full of people pretending to be okay. When someone walks into a room and says, without saying a word, "You can be real here," that person becomes unforgettable. That person becomes a spiritual leader, even without a title. That person becomes a light, not because they shine brighter, but because they shine truer. Let your soul speak. Every time you show up as your authentic self, you permit others to do the same. You become a mirror for others to see themselves honestly. You become a spiritual invitation, not to be perfect, but to be real. And that's where healing happens. That's where love grows. That's where your divine influence begins. So don't dim it. Don't tone it down. Don't try to package it to be more palatable. Let your soul speak. Because your authenticity is more powerful than any performance. Your chosen authenticity will outlast charisma. And your soul's truth will reach further than any image ever could. You are not a performer. You are a vessel. And what flows from you when it's real becomes a message from heaven itself. Real attraction isn't built on clever pickup lines or temporary chemistry. It's built on safety, emotional and spiritual safety, the kind of security that doesn't scream for attention, but instead offers calm in the chaos. In a world filled with manipulation, noise, and performance, your quiet presence becomes a sanctuary. You don't just exist, you create an environment where women feel safe to be themselves. That's the divine difference. The world teaches the game, but God teaches presence. And when your presence is rooted in God, when you are emotionally stable, spiritually grounded, and energetically secure, women feel it in their spirit. Not just in their mind, not just in their body, but in their soul. You become a safe place, a strong tower, a living example of what it means to be a trustworthy man, one who honors, protects, and values the heart of a woman not as something to conquer, but something to cherish. You don't manipulate. You don't use charm as a weapon. You don't push intimacy before trust is built. Instead, you hold space. You offer silence when needed, depth when asked, and truth even when it's hard. You are not performing to impress. You are simply showing up with full integrity, and that's what creates a genuine connection. There is a deep, quiet power in your steadiness. In this way, you stay calm when things get difficult. In how you respond with maturity instead of reacting from ego. Women can sense when a man is not easily shaken, when his spirit is anchored, when his emotions are not dependent on external validation. This steadiness creates emotional safety. And emotional safety is not just attractive, it's irresistible. It's what every woman's heart truly longs for. Not the man who excites her for a moment, but the man who holds her for a lifetime. Not the one who knows how to win her over, but the one who knows how to keep her soul safe once she's chosen him. It's in your honest emotions, the way you share without fear, the way you express without shame. It's in your intentional silence. You're not afraid of quiet moments, you embrace them. You know that in the stillness, real intimacy forms. You listen, truly listen, not to fix or control, but to understand. To know her, not just touch her. To hear her heart, not just her words. You respect boundaries. You don't push past what she's ready for. You don't take advantage of her vulnerability. You don't weaponize her emotions. Instead, you create a space where she can be soft, feminine, and unguarded, because your masculinity is mature enough to protect, not possess. You make room for her spirit to breathe. Your consistency is more powerful than any grand gesture. The world has plenty of men who can show up for a moment, but you show up again and again with the same grounded energy, with the same emotional availability, with the same spiritual presence. That's what builds trust. That's what builds legacy. That's what makes a woman say, "I can rest here." You become the anchor in a world of waves, not because you're trying to control the storm, but because you know how to remain still in the midst of it. You don't react to every wind that blows. You don't run when things get tough. Your strength is not loud, it's loyal. You don't dominate to prove you're a man. You simply are one. Your masculinity isn't rooted in aggression but in assurance. You're not trying to overpower anyone. You're trying to serve and support with humility. That's why women trust you. That's why they feel emotionally and spiritually safe around you. There's no guessing with you, no games, no hidden motives. Your transparency becomes a breath of fresh air in a world full of masks. She knows where she stands with you. She doesn't have to decode your intentions. You speak clearly, you love purely, and you show up honestly. This safety isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. You bring peace into the room not because you're perfect, but because your spirit is aligned. You pray before you pursue. You seek God before you seek her. And that alignment becomes the covering she didn't even know she needed. You love your presence. You lead with your example. And in doing so, you offer a rare gift. A safe space for another soul to rest, to grow, and to be seen. Not as an object, but as a masterpiece. Not as a challenge, but as a child of God. That's divine masculinity. That's what makes you unforgettable. Because when a woman feels truly safe, she doesn't just open her heart. She opens her entire being. Her joy flows freely. Her love runs deeper. Her trust expands. She stops surviving and starts thriving. And you, through your calm, grounded, God-centered presence, become the soil where love is planted and peace can grow. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about being faithful. It's about being real. You don't need to perform or impress. You just need to be who God made you to be. A safe, steady, spiritually aligned man who honors the heart of a woman. So if you've ever wondered why some women linger in your presence, why strangers open up to you, why people feel relaxed when you walk into the room, it's not by accident. It's because your energy speaks before you do. Your grounded presence whispers, "You're safe here." And in today's world, that's not only attractive, that's sacred. Let this truth sink deep into your soul today. You are more attractive than you've ever been told. Not because of the brand you wear, the things you own, or the titles you've earned, but because of who you are when the noise is gone, when the masks are off, and when your spirit is at rest in God. You radiate light, not a fabricated glow, not an artificial shine, but a holy brilliance that comes from walking closely with the Creator. That inner glow is heaven's fingerprint on your soul. Your magnetism isn't man-made. It's not something you learned from books or picked up from trends. It is God-given, a gift you didn't earn, but you were chosen to carry. You carry peace, and that peace changes the atmosphere when you enter a room. People can't explain it, but they feel it. They feel safe, grounded, and somehow more connected to themselves when they're around you. That's not by accident. That's divine. You walk in truth, not because it's easy, but because your spirit refuses to live a lie. You've chosen the narrow path. You've chosen integrity over applause. And while it's cost you some relationships and opportunities, it's elevated your soul. Now your presence speaks even when you're silent. You're a reflection of the kingdom, and the world is noticing. Repeat these words out loud. Let them realign your spirit. Backhand index pointing right. I don't chase, I attract, because chasing stems from lack. But you lack nothing. You walk in the abundance of God's timing. You know what's yours will find you, and what leaves you wasn't assigned to your destiny in the first place. Backhand index pointing right. I don't impress, I express. You're not here to entertain the crowd. You're here to move the spirit, to express God's love, wisdom, truth, and light through your very existence. People don't need a show, they need your soul. I don't fear, I radiate faith. You've learned to stand still in the storm, not because you're fearless, but because you've seen the hand of God move before. And your faith now speaks louder than your fear ever could. Let this truth anchor you. You were never meant to dim your light to fit into dark spaces. You were never meant to shrink just so others could feel big. You were never meant to perform for love, chase after validation, or hustle for worth. You are already whole. Let the world see your glow, but don't you ever dim it for their comfort. Let your quiet strength lead the way. You don't need to shout your worth. You embody it. Let your authenticity speak louder than performance. There's no need to wear masks. No need to tweak who you are to be liked. The real you, the soul aligned with God, is already magnetic. You don't have to try to be different. You already are. Your divine magnetism isn't just about romance. It's about the people you inspire, the peace you carry, and the legacy you're building. It's about how others feel more connected to God when they're in your presence, because your life points them back to the source. And yes, love is coming. The kind of love that doesn't confuse, manipulate, or demand. The kind that feels like home to your soul. Why? Because you're now vibrating in alignment with heaven. And what's for you is divinely orchestrated. So walk with holy confidence, not arrogance, not performance, but a confidence rooted in your identity as a chosen one. Speak with spiritual authority. Your words carry weight. Use them with grace. Use them with truth. Use them to uplift, to awaken, to heal. Love from a place of divine alignment, not desperation, not fear of being alone, but from overflow because you've been filled by the Spirit. You are not here to be average. You are not here to blend in. You were not born to chase trends or get lost in the noise of this world. You are here to shine. You are here to disrupt the darkness with your light. You are here to remind people of God's love, not just with your words, but with your presence. You are here to attract, not because of superficial charm, but because of your deep, divine resonance. You are here to embody the glory of what it means to walk with God in a world that has forgotten Him. So take a deep breath. Feel the power rising within you. This isn't pride. This is alignment. The same God who parted seas, calmed storms, and raised the dead is the same God who placed His hand on you. You are chosen. You are radiant. You are powerful. You are magnetic. And the world is about to see it.